right. Good day again to whoever is watching this. Dave here, sort of smart space guy, with another episode of Ty's Take. And I am here joined, of course, by the star of the show, the unflappable Tyra Day. And it is her show, but we're just kind of getting started. We're in the very early stages. I think this is episode 5. And so a lot of what we're doing right now is just answering questions that she has about space. So while it is called Ty's Take, she doesn't have a take just yet because she's still learning things. but
It's true.
we have gotten to know her here kind of behind the scenes at 40 Suns, and she has a lot of strong opinions. She has a lot of, hope for this planet, for what she sees here as possibilities. So she's trying to understand exactly what's going on, exactly what those possibilities might involve, so that she can go out and definitely encourage everyone to do what they have to do exactly to make our space future a reality, which it is. Good news is it is already happening and it is already kind of moving along. So why don't we go ahead and just let you go with whatever your next question is, Ty, and I will see what I can do to answer it.
Right, so that actually fits in with my question. You've mentioned now a couple times on getting people aware of space and last time you mentioned just looking and being more aware of space will help
Mhm.
create that to become a reality and less of a rarity. Is there
Yeah,
anything else that actually needs to be done, do you think, to make space a actual reality?
yeah. Yeah, excellent question. And they do, definitely, like we mentioned in the last episode, having everyone rooting for what's going on in space, having everyone interested in what's happening, paying attention, writing their congressmen, encouraging, their friends to pay attention to it, going to rocket launches, doing all the things that are really going to continue to raise awareness, which in turn will lead to more activity in space and more focus on space. There then comes down the reality of basically a saying we have here on Earth where the rubber meets the road, or in rocket terms, we could say where the liquid oxygen, meets the propellant. Or
Oh,
it's
okay.
that basically what that
It
means
took me
is,
a second to understand what that meant, but
yeah,
I get it now.
yeah, exactly. And you're either just talking about it or you're actually like now you're taking action and you're doing it. So what would it really take? What is it going to take to do the things that we're talking about here on 40 Suns to actually become, extraplanetary in the sense that we have orbital stations that people are living on, that we have bases that people are occupying on the moon, that we're making progress towards, sending people to Mars and setting up maybe an eventual even a city on Mars. We talk about that. That's a distant thing, but in order to achieve it, a lot of things are going to have to happen. So you could consider it almost like an orders of magnitude. What is going to have to happen to do that is we're going to have to change the amount of activity that we currently are having in the pursuit of space by 1 or 2 orders of magnitude. So basically, we have to 10x or even 100x the amount of launches and the amount of things we're sending up into space, the amount of things we're doing in space to really make that a reality for all of us.
Like
So
get
yeah,
all those physical things up there.
yeah, and make the orbital space stations, make the bases on the moon, get the infrastructure up there in space that will allow us to go up and eventually spend a night in a space hotel, and
Now,
have
that's a lot. And I
yeah,
realize you mentioned in the last episode how people would get rockets into space and then it would just be used once. And so it was very expensive. And so
yeah.
they're trying to reuse that. To get all that stuff up there to make a city or civilization originally would come from our materials here. How, like,
Right.
that's a lot of materials. How many tons of things do you think would need to be put up there
Yeah,
for
I
that to
mean it's a
happen?
lot. And I had a few numbers here. It's estimates vary, but one estimate, let me see if I can find this breakdown here because it's kind of crazy when you think about it, how much more we're going to have to do. Here it is, estimates for an ongoing moon or Mars presence with related operations could require us sending from 1 to 5 million tons into space. And I know it's kind of hard to wrap your head around how much a million tons is. If you've, I mean, think about something like an Empire State Building. You know, our cities here, right?
Yeah.
I think that's on the order of about 100,000, maybe between 100 and 200,000 tons. It's a massive big building, concrete and steel. So think about 10 of those, 10 to 20 of those, getting it up into orbit. And that's your low end estimate. Your high
Are
end
any
estimate
rockets
would be
out
more
there?
like 100.
Any
What's that?
rockets that have been sent out, have any of those been equivalent to one of those buildings?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Rockets, there's a limit to how much our current rockets can lift, right? So
Okay.
we're building bigger ones, but there's also a limit to how big of a rocket we can build because they do reach a point where they're so powerful that you really couldn't even launch them from land. You know, you couldn't send up anything much bigger than the biggest one we're testing right now, which is something called Starship. You know, it's like it's another SpaceX rocket. They're on the third, coming up on the fourth test now. So that one can lift an awful lot, but it still can only lift about 200 tons. So you'd need 1,000 of those to get one Empire State Building into space.
My
If you were going to
goodness.
get that same, 1 million to 5 million up into space, you'd need, I don't know, I think I also figured that out somewhere. You need, uh, let's see, what did I come up with? Yeah,
That's a
12,000
lot.
at max load. So you need like 12,000 launches of the biggest rocket we have today. And
Oh my goodness.
so, really, what that says is that we need to step up the pace. So, we're launching lots and lots and lots of rockets if we're going to get the materials we need up into space. So, what we need to do is we need to be gearing up for a much, much higher volume of launches if we're going to become extraplanetary in the sense that we keep talking about here.
Hmm.
So that's why it
Hmm.
really requires the backing, the interest, and the support of everybody because you're talking about a really big push. And that's what we talk about what I mean when we talk about orders of magnitude is just doing a rocket here, a rocket there, a couple rockets a week or something like that is never going to get us permanent ongoing bases on the moon being resupplied, stations in orbit, an eventual city on Mars, that sort of thing. So we
It
just have
really needs a
to
bigger
change
push.
our thinking is really what we're trying to do. And that's one of the things we're trying to do here at 40 Suns is get people thinking, number one, about space, but then number
Hmm.
two, really addressing and embracing the reality of what that's going to take. And it isn't going to be just continuing to do, 100 rockets a year, 200 launches a year, 1,000 launches a year, even. It's going to be really, really a lot of launches and a lot of
That
activity in space.
so it needs to be a lot more common. How much is up there now?
There's only 8,000 tons up there now, and that includes debris. Yeah, like, we have a space station up there, the International Space Station. We might have talked to you about that. I don't remember if I mentioned that, but that's up there. The Chinese have a space station up there, and then there's just a bunch of debris and a bunch of satellites.
Like just
All
trash?
all of that adds up to 8,000 tons, and that's all. And we're talking like 5 million. Just if we're thinking in terms of this is what we got to put up there. And I'm not talking about all in one go, but just like over the course of years, we need to be putting that much stuff up there if we're going to go build a base on the moon, if we're going to build an orbital station around the moon, and on and on. So yeah, it's
So we need to
definitely
like
eye opening.
like 5 times 8. I don't know, 9-fold
Yeah.
X
Well, five times
or
eight
some math
thousand, five
or
times that
number.
much would be, yeah. It's an
Hmm.
awful lot. Yeah, it
Hmm.
is. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I figured out all that, but basically, it would mean, what did I come up with? If we wanted to get everything up there in a year,
From today.
I wish I'd written these down in a more coherent way to read it. But
What's 5 million
oh,
divided
basically,
by
yeah,
1,000?
those starships I mentioned, the biggest rocket, would have to be launching 30 a day every day for an entire year. So basically, that if you can think with that, not just one launch every few weeks, but like 30 of them every day for the whole year, 365 days, no holidays, even National
So
Donut
this seems
Day.
to be like the most normal thing ever. Like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, I'm
it would
going
have to
places
be, yeah,
anytime this week.
like
Okay.
airplanes. It would have to be as common as airplanes. Airplanes are always taken off, always in the air. They're lifted off from airports, so you're aware of them in the sky, but you don't really think much about it. They're very common. Our rocket launches would have to be common like that. Just going, going, going. Always there's a rocket flying into the sky doing something. That's the way we really make ourselves extraplanetary. And
Okay.
so that's really what it's going to take.
I feel like that definitely helps, like, within a reality of
Yeah.
the.
Oh, we lost Ty. Oh, no, she's back.
It's a good
We
thing.
lost her again. There we go.
You get
Um,
that?
we got the part about it makes it a reality. And
Like, so obviously before planes weren't a thing, and probably the idea of planes being so casual as they are now wasn't as. It was more,
yeah,
like the rocket thing. And
right.
so we just keep that in mind as long as everyone's still pushing as quickly as they have been, that technically could be a thing.
Yeah. I mean,
Right before rockets.
that's exactly right. We just have to it's almost like changing your way of thinking. And instead of thinking of it in terms of just, a once in a while thing or here and there for a satellite launch or something like that, you're actually using rockets all the time, every day. They're just very common, and we're building that orbital infrastructure. We're building that lunar infrastructure. Or we're preparing to go to Mars, and so on and so forth. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So all right, good. Well, that's eye opening, right? um, Let me wait our little end of thing here. We'll punch you out for another episode, and we'll see you guys back in the next one.
Mm-hmm.
All right.